Insurance Incorporated.
The Chiefs win 38-35. To get a little Chiefs flavor and perspective, we bring in Ed Easton Jr., covers the Chiefs for USA Today's Chiefs Wire. Ed, welcome to the program.
Hi, Lori. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on.
So, big picture, what's your headline key takeaway on this game from the Chiefs' perspective? What's your lead?
You know what? The way I look at it, this is just the team that we've seen all year, just being able to bounce back from adversity and pretty much show that they are better than what a lot of people say about them in regards to their grit and just being tough. And I think that basically symbolized what you saw with Patrick Mahomes and the injury and coming back. Just the team morale and everything about them. It's basically grit. If I had to just symbolize this team all season, it's been grit. They've been a lot different than you've seen in the past, and I think a lot of it is dealt with the criticism they've gotten in the offseason.
Yeah, I think a fair point, which is that this is a team that has gotten used to and is comfortable, has experience being down 10 points, going into halftime. That's not going to phase this team. They just have so much experience coming back, and I think so much confidence in Patrick Mahomes. The other, if there's an unsung hero kind of to this, I think coming into the game, all the talk, so much talk, was about the Eagles' defensive line. They led the league in the regular season, 70 sacks. Chiefs were actually second with 55, but that's a 15-sack difference. There was a massive, this Eagles pass rush, 70 sacks, more than 4 a game, all of that. And what would the Chiefs' offensive line be able to do against them, especially blocking for a gimpy quarterback in Patrick Mahomes with the bad ankle? And that the offensive line, that there were 0 sacks in this game. What does it say about the Chiefs' offensive line, and what was their mindset? How did they get this done?
Well, they're just a very prideful unit, a strong unit. If you think about just the different people on it, Creed Humphrey has already shown he's one of the better centers in the league. Trey Smith, a very underrated player, and obviously going so late in the draft due to health reasons. These guys, Joe Thuney, the veteran player, Orlando Brown, of course, they all had this chip on their shoulder because everyone kept talking about how good the defensive line is and the sack records and everything that they can do, that all those players were challenged by Andy Reid, even challenged by Patrick Mahomes to really show everybody in the league and as well as just everybody watching that they are a great offensive line. And it's not always just Patrick Mahomes improvising, even though that is such a great part of what they do. The offensive line has done such great things. They have Pro Bowls on the line for a reason. And I just think, leaving a game like this when you have the Eagles with such a great pressure they put on quarterbacks and leaving without a sack, it's just such a merit. And a lot of respect has to go to the offensive line. They really wanted to make a point of making sure Patrick Mahomes stayed as healthy as possible. The only reason why he got hurt is because he had to scramble out. So I think they've proven that they can handle any type of pressure and that they deserve a lot more respect around the league.
As we look ahead with this team and we think about a future and dynasty potential and all of that, and Patrick Mahomes being 27 years old, what's next for this team? What is the long-term potential, do you think?
Well, I think right now they just want to make sure they can keep Andy Reid, still coaching. There was this rumor that was flying around that possibly he was going to retire. That's basically been shot down by himself. He's basically come out and said that he wants to stay as long as they want him to be here. So keeping Andy Reid there and keeping Patrick Mahomes and just that core together with Travis Kelce, they could go as far as long as they're together. Patrick Mahomes being 27 years old, still, obviously at the top of his game. He knows that he's great, but he's also very aware of the weapons that he has with him. He knows that Travis Kelce is a once-in-a-lifetime type of tight end. And you have, Hall of Fame coach and Andy Reid. You have a great offensive coordinator with Eric Bieniemy. The system is done so well that Mahomes can adjust when necessary, but everything that they run does work. And I think this year was the biggest example of what this team actually is. They've talked so much about what would happen without Tyreek Hill. They had different players step up. Just the signings of Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Juju Smith. It really showed that what they have in terms of plans moving forward, it doesn't depend necessarily on just one weapon or just one way of doing things. As great as Tyreek Hill is, and obviously he's still one of the best receivers in the league, they can win with different pieces and just working within the system. So this is a team that can go as far as literally they want to go. They've shored up the defense to an extent where they are able to battle and it won't feel like it's just one-sided. So this can really go a couple of more years, and they know they've left a couple of titles on the table last 2 years.
You mentioned Eric Bieniemy, and does he, in terms of him getting some of the credit that maybe he deserves, but he is coaching in Andy Reid's shadow, any rumors and thoughts that he might, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, that he would leave for someplace else as an offensive coordinator?
I really cannot see that happening, and I don't think he's really hinted at wanting to leave. I know people have made big deals over things they've seen on TV where him and Patrick have kind of gone back and forth, but that's just them being competitive about the situation. He has a great, comfortable relationship with Mahomes as well as with Andy Reid. Andy Reid is always, singing his praises whenever they ask who's worth like a head coach look. It's been a shame that he hasn't gotten that opportunity yet, but I can't see him going anywhere else. If he had to be an offensive coordinator, he would have to stay with the Chiefs and just with that system. He's such a big part in regards to just rolling out the plays and communicating with the offense and making sure everything's being executed. So it's, as great as Andy Reid is, and we all know Andy Reid's a Hall of Fame offensive-minded coach, Eric Bieniemy is such a big part of what they do. So I just think if Eric Bieniemy does not get a head coaching gig, he's staying in Kansas City.
All right. Last question before I let you go. When you look at this Chiefs team, of course, you got Patrick Mahomes, you have Andy Reid. You think you can always a team always has that chance to win a Super Bowl. But as you said, no Tyreek Hill, a lot of new faces. Is there a moment during the season that you said that you thought, the pieces are really starting to come together, and this feels like this is a team that's going to win it all?
You know what? It's the game that really sticks out to me was at the end of the year. I believe it was on Christmas Eve. They played against the Seahawks, and it wasn't a pretty game at all by the offense. Mahomes made some plays here and there, but there was a lot of punts, more of a defensive struggle. But we saw a lot more from the defense, and not just the defensive line with the veterans like Chris Jones and Frank Clark. It was the young players that they drafted. Yep. You talk about the rookies, the secondary. They all stepped up. Trent McDuffie is going to be a very good corner. Obviously, he got burned in the Super Bowl earlier, but he's going to be a very good corner. Brian Cook's a good safety. They have some young pieces that are developing, and they really shut down that Seahawks offense, and that was the main reason why they won that game. So when I saw that, I said, okay, this is a little different. They have a defense that can hold its own against most teams, and the offense is going to be the offense. So eventually they're going to figure it out. But seeing the way the defense stepped up and seeing the way the young players have really grown, and, I didn't even get a chance to mention on offense, Isaiah Pacheco, how great he's been. Yep. You talk about 7th-round pick, and the guy is he's the running back. He's the starting running back moving forward. He's shown that from OTAs, from rookie camp, that same energy that you see on the field, that running angry, as he likes to call it, that he was doing that back in rookie camp, beating people out for spots. So he's definitely the real deal. But just seeing that growth with the youth as well as the defense from that game let me know that this is a championship-bound team.
All right. Appreciate the perspective, Ed Easton Jr. Thanks for the time, and catch up with you down the road.
Sounds good. Thank you.
At New York Tech,